Figured to give a little update. A few people have been asking to give a quick little status update about how everything's been going with me and everything, my family and whatnot. There was a much longer one, but I decided to cut it down because I started to ramble quite a bit. On the family side, good. It's been quite a long month for me and my family. My daughter was having a little bit of issues and nightmares and things because she was in Pueblo at the time. It's a town about maybe 115 miles south of here. And she was having issues with nightmares just because she didn't quite understand what was going on. And she heard through my family what had happened and everything. And she saw one of the interviews I did on the news. And so she was having nightmares about me and my wife being shot and killed, like at every turn. So, whenever we went anywhere, or whenever she went anywhere as well, she thought that, we would get killed. So that was a little bit of a fight when it came to trying to get her to understand that we'd be okay. But, she's pretty resilient. She's pretty funny too, though, because she's even now trying to, get through it by joking. Like, now she went down for the Labor Day weekend, and the first thing she says was, "You and Mom, you guys don't get in the shooting again, okay?" So, yeah, she's kind of funny, but anyway, to get through it, I guess. My wife's been doing all right. She didn't want to do an interview like this or an update because she just had too many people being ridiculous. I'll get into that in a little bit. But, yeah, she's doing all right. She was having a bit of issues with, like, loud noises and things like that, kind of freaking her out. But she's gotten a lot better. Myself, I've been doing good. Had quite a few really, really low moments, but been doing good otherwise. Loud noises and stuff didn't bother me, but of all things, phrases would get me. Like, I'd be listening to a song, and they'd say something, and I would just zone out, kind of have a little, like, what I'll call a PTSD moment. Some of my friends that served in Iraq and whatnot out when I was in the Marines, I went in with them, and I got discharged for medical reasons, and so, I talked to them and everything, and we'll be hanging out, or I'll meet them after they do something, be doing the drills or something. Like, yeah, that's PTSD to a T. Guys that I've known for years that have taken 2-3 tours of Iraq or a couple tours of Afghanistan, and they'll say, yeah, that's just it to a T. They'll tell me things like I've seen him have them before, and they'll say, "You noticed when I do this and like veg out or just totally zone off or something like that." It's like, that's what you're doing now. So, yeah, irony. But other than that, getting past all that stuff, I've been doing a lot better. Went and saw the movie a couple more times with friends, people that I've now even befriended off of because of this tragedy. I have one gentleman, I won't mention his name because I want people to hunt him down. I'll get to that later as well. That was sitting not even 2 seats away from me, and I didn't even know it. And we met through a Facebook group that had sprouted up because of this, and we've been rehashing the night and stuff like that with a bunch of other survivors, and we became fast friends. So we went and saw it a couple more times, and it seems to be the best means of closure is talking about it and seeing that movie, just because it makes everything, it grounds us, really. It grounds everything, because I can tell you that first time I saw the movie again, me and my wife, we were on edge the entire time. The moment that it started shooting, I didn't describe it in the first one because I didn't want to spoil it for anybody. That's how hardcore I am about no spoilers. I didn't want to spoil it after that shit happened. The scene where, so there are spoilers right now, okay? If you haven't seen it. The scene where Gordon starts trying to get them to go down into the sewers, and they start getting shot. All the police officers from GCPD are getting shot, and that guy comes up with a 50 cal up on the balcony and starts shooting the cops and everything. That's when we started hearing shooting. That's why everybody was confused, because it was almost the same decibel level. The gunshots were maybe a little bit louder just because they were muffled through a wall, because we were in 8. But that's right when those shots were going off. 2 rounds came through the wall and hit 2 people in our theater. So that's why we were confused, because we thought it was a prank. You know, until we saw those people get up and run and the alarms went off, we thought it was a goddamn prank. So when we saw the movie again and that scene hit, me and my wife were just scanning. We were just looking at everybody that went up to get a soda or go to the bathroom. We were just eyeballing them, you know, coming up with batshit crazy, pun intended, ideas of what we would do, you know, how we would get out. It was ridiculous. But once that part passed the first time, we got back into it. But as you can see in one of my other videos, once that line hit where he says, you know, I could have been anybody. It could have been a young, or it could have been a man that put his coat around the shoulders of a young boy and let him know the world didn't fall apart. You know, I fell to goddamn pieces. That reaction on the video I have is to a T exactly how I reacted in the theaters. I just could not stop crying just because I thought about that young man that borrowed my phone and called family or friends. I don't know exactly who it was. I did get a hold of him, and he's doing all right. The young man did get hit, but didn't die. Apparently he was shot in his seat, but he just stood still because he didn't know what else to do. So he's doing all right, just for an update on that. When it comes to the reason I'm not saying certain people's names, I've got one more person to mention. There's another gentleman that I've been thanking. First name's Eric, won't give his last, for saving us, basically. Because me being in my trying to help and get everybody towards that exit, he's the man that stopped us from going out that exit. What happened was he saw him come out. He saw the shooter exit because he was the first out the door, and he looked right and saw the guy. And that's when he shoved everybody back in, slammed that door shut, and told us not to go out that way because he saw him. And that guy still had his pistol on him, and he still had a shitload of clips. So, you know, pardon my language, but so I'm going to be totally frank right now. So yeah, I thank him every time I can that. Because if I would have funneled people out that way, it'd have been a shooting gallery. And I'm glad that he didn't grab it. Because if he'd have freaked out, if he saw that guy and just bolted, because there's a ravine maybe about 20, 25 yards behind the theater. Because we're kind of like, it's Colorado, so a lot of ravines, a lot of prairie areas and whatnot. So, you know, if he'd have just rabbited into that ravine, that little wooded area that's behind there, and left everybody else to just funnel out that door, you'd be looking at a higher kill count. For damn sure. Because there's absolutely no cover back there at all. And nobody parks back there because the area that's in, we're in between 2 different areas. We're in between Montbello and we're in between the Havana district, and those are not so much rough areas, but you got your shady characters there. You know, we've got a lot of break-ins, car break-ins and stuff, so nobody likes to park back there because there's no security that's actively back there. There's no security cameras, so nobody parks back there, so there's nothing to hide behind at all. So, yeah. On the note I just kept skipping of getting hounded, it was pretty bad. If you haven't noticed, I've disabled my comments quite a bit because people are just really ridiculous. Note that for every person that's got a deficiency when it comes to just being a decent human being, there are 100 people out there that give condolences or are just normal, and I thank you for that. But unfortunately, jackasses are louder than normal people. So we've been having to deal with a lot of different issues, so I had to disable comments on pretty much every single video I have. I've been on YouTube for quite some time before this, doing my silly little videos and whatnot, so it's rather ridiculous that I had to do that, but I had to. There was no choice about it. I've had everybody from conspiracy theorists and gun nuts to just trolls and everything else you can name, trying to get to me and my wife in any way they can, just for the either because they have batshit crazy ideas, pun intended, or because they're just morbidly ridiculous. You know, I enjoy a good trolling now and then as well, but not when it comes to this. This is just retarded.